Welcome back, Film Club! Yeah, we did it! We did it, baby! We are here, we are back, we have done it again. I'm Carson Higgins. Welcome to another week of watching films. We watched our 99th film this week. My mind is blown. I'm so grateful for this group. I hope that you know, if you've been following along and watching these films with me and with us and watching these videos every week, I just can't thank you enough. It's a fun hobby for me, and all the way back in 2018 when me and my buddy Ash first got our Filmstruck accounts and decided to start a little book club for film, that's where this all started. And now there's hundreds of us, so look at us go. Did you watch The Great Dictator this week? I sure did. It was my first time watching it, and I must say it's one of my favorite Chaplin films now. I had only seen a couple of his films. I had seen his more famous later films, so I had seen Modern Times and City Lights. I've seen both versions of The Gold Rush, Go Me, and then his older stuff, I think I've only seen The Kid, which is so good, and A Dog's Life. So I've only seen those couple of his films before watching The Great Dictator, and then watching it this week. I was so glad to finally cross it off the list. I actually watched it a couple times. I kind of couldn't stop watching it. I'm sure, you know, if you still haven't watched it, or if you did or whatever, I'm sure you've seen the speech, the famous Chaplin speech at the end of this film. It goes viral every year. Every once in a while on Facebook, you'll see everybody posting it, or at least it feels like that. But that happens because it's still a relevant speech. And we'll get to it in a moment. I did want to just touch on two things. Why did I pick this film? Because in the 99 picks so far of this club, none of them have been a Charlie Chaplin film. Part of that is probably because I picked most of the films, and I had seen a handful of his greatest hits, as it were. So this every time I pick a movie, this kind of comes around for me, where I'm like, do I want to pick The Great Dictator this week? And so between never having watched one and 2020, I thought it would be a perfect time to watch it. Let's go through a couple of stats here. It came out in 1940. So that means that my man Charlie Chaplin was filming this in 1939, which for my history buffs out there was kind of an important year for the World War II Nazi takeover. I don't remember. I watched a great documentary on the Criterion channel after I watched the film. It's called The Tramp and the Dictator. It's probably available on YouTube as well, but it parallels Chaplin and Hitler's lives. Because I did not know this, but did you know that they were born the same week of the same month of the same year? It's kind of crazy that one guy would go on to become kind of the most loved person of the time and one of all time, everyone's favorite person, and then arguably everyone's least favorite person of all time, and how their rise to their own quote-unquote power kind of were happening in and around the same time. It was Chaplin's first talkie. He had famously held out even after the advent of sound. He had continued making silent films with his lovable character, the Tramp, who does not show up in this film per se. Our Jewish barber, does at one point get dressed up to go on a date with the lovely Hannah, and he does kind of don a very Tramp-like outfit. But this was his first film without the Tramp. If that might be true, might be not true. Worth looking up. You should look it up. But it was also the first time that Chaplin was ever going to speak on film. And to think that the first time that the most famous guy ever spoke in a film was this one, it's just crazy. It's just the balls on this guy to make this movie when he did. I'm telling you, watch The Tramp and what is it called? Yeah, The Tramp and the Dictator documentary, because it goes into such great detail. Did you know that in 1939 there was a huge rally at Madison Square Garden? Thousands of people. It was a pro-Nazi rally in America at Madison Square Garden. There's a giant George Washington painting. So we almost, we had some sympathizers here in America, whether you like to remember that part or not. We did have some pro-fascists back in the day who were hoping to bring that sweet neighborly attitude all the way here to America. Let's see. The Great Dictator was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. He was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor for Charlie Chaplin. He was not nominated for Best Director, and I think he was kind of miffed by that. He was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, Best Score, and Best Supporting Actor, Jack Oakey, who is so funny as Napolini, which is like the Mussolini character in this film. Yeah, let's just real quick. If you didn't watch the film, something you should know about it is Chaplin himself plays 2 characters in this movie. He plays the dictator of Tamania, Adenoid Hinkle. Is that it? Hinkle? Yeah. Adenoid Hinkle is the dictator of Tamania. And then you have a Jewish barber, and that's his name. He doesn't really have a name. And Chaplin plays both of these characters. They both look exactly the same. So, of course, we have this wonderful switcheroo towards the end where the barber is mistaken for the dictator. It's a whole long thing. I don't even really want to spoil that all for you, but that's kind of how we get that famous Chaplin speech at the end of the film. Is it's this barber who is in disguise as a officer of Tamania with these. It's so great too that I love Chaplin for doing this. The iconography that he uses. People are Heiling Hinkle and all this stuff. And very reminiscent uniforms, but instead of the swastika, he has these 2 crosses. So he is double crosses, and it's so funny. And the Goebbels character, the guy who plays, he's not Goebbels in this film. He is Garbage. The guy who plays that character does so much of the work for us that we don't even necessarily feel. He is so cold and apathetic in the reality of the story that anytime, because there's the great speech at the beginning where Hinkle is doing his big German tirade to the media, and it's all in made up German gibberish that Chaplin has done because he's a master at doing stuff like that. It's one of the funniest things ever. You know what? I'll show you a little clip. Watch this.
Across liberty was banished, free speech was suppressed, and only the voice of Hinkle was heard.
Hey, das Strafnichtshilfensekt! Der Wiener Schnitzel mit der Lagerwerden und das Sauerkraut! Hey, der Filuten sagt der Fleppen! Ein Tomenia wie sein Strapf! Und der Blitzen sagt der Klutz! Hey, ich bleib noch straff mit der...
Baloney.
Okay, wasn't that great? See? He's hilarious! But yeah, so this... I only wanted to show you a little bit, but... yeah, that Hinkle speech happens, and then he gets in the car with Garbage, and he asks him how it went, and Garbage just very coldly is like, I thought you could have been more violent towards the Jews. And just these layers. It's kind of like if you watch Game of Thrones, he's like the Littlefinger, or the Varys the Spider character. He's just like so diabolically evil in this slapstick comedy. So as the movie kind of progresses towards this iconic ending, that now as watching it in 2020, it's like when you turn on the film, you kind of are most likely already in the know that there is going to be this speech towards the end. But you have to imagine being in 1940 and being so excited to see this film because Chaplin's the biggest star on the planet, and this is his first talkie, and he's doing a parody of Hitler, and so everybody's excited. It was Chaplin's highest-grossing film. And it was banned in countries. Hitler famously burned every copy that came to Germany, even though he apparently did watch the film twice, 2 nights in a row. That's a fun little anecdote from the documentary that you're going to watch after you watch The Great Dictator, if you haven't. But yeah, I lost my train of thought, and it doesn't even matter. I love this movie so much. I got some things here. Okay, right at the beginning, the title card that says any what is it? Semblance of what the hell's the word? He's making a joke about if the barber and the dictator look alike. God, I'm ruining it. I should just pause this and look it up and tell you, but you know what? This is raw, baby. I don't know. But going from that hysterical little title card at the beginning straight into the trenches of World War I, we're already kind of just in a very real setting. And then we see Chaplin being a goofball with this gigantic cannon. And he has that bit with the grenade, and the grenade falls down his sleeve, and then it's in his pants, and it's hilarious. And then the whole plane sequence where the frame is flipped upside down, but they are upside down, so his pocket watch is flying, and he's trying to put it down, and he's trying to take a sip of water, and water's coming out. There's so much funny physical comedy in this movie. The coin bit is hilarious. I'm not gonna like break down why it's funny. You just have to watch it for yourself and see if it makes you laugh. There's of course the sublime globe sequence. It's probably one of Chaplin's most famous film sequences, and it's the juxtaposition of, we have Chaplin in kind of his famous truest form of this gentle clown, but you have the imagery of this dictator playing toyishly, is that a word, with the world. And it's this little balletic moment where Hinkle is just so gleeful, and he lets out this creepy laugh, and then that beautiful music comes on, and he's dancing with that balloon. And it's gentle, and it's terrifying, and it's wonderful. And then we cut straight from there to the barbershop where Chaplin is doing the shaving sequence. Chaplin's such a genius, you guys. If you haven't, you should watch Robert Downey Jr. play Chaplin. Richard Attenborough made a fantastic movie in the early 90s about Chaplin's life, and Robert Downey Jr. did an incredible job. Not sure why he didn't win the Oscar. He did win the BAFTA, which I think is more impressive, because if you can get a British Academy Award playing a British guy while being American, I think you proved something. But yeah, you guys, I don't know. I think it's so good. It's so good. And maybe you already know that, but if you don't, then do yourself a favor and go watch The Great Dictator. I am so excited. I'm going to wait a couple days because I want to get some people's feedback. If you have a movie that you think should be the 100th movie, do you think we should rewatch one of our first picks? Do you think that there's a movie out there that deserves the 100th slot in our club? Shoot me a line. Let me know what you think. I'm going to be thinking about it. I'm going to try and make it special for us. But in the meantime, me and Groot are going to be signing off. Go ahead and like and comment on this video. If you don't, go ahead and follow us on Instagram. Follow us on that Facebook group right there at Filmstruck Film Club. And I'm just so grateful for you guys. I'm glad that we're still doing this. And we're going to keep on going. Let's see what number 200 is all about, baby. Woohoo! All right. Sayonara. Here's a little bit of that speech from the end.
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world,